And again with the backwards writing. I just changed the camera angle to try and deal with this, but apparently that doesn't matter. Maybe it will matter more in the playback. I'm confused. Anyway, starting a couple minutes early. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shay, for those of you who don't know. I normally stream on Thursday mornings for the map work that I do for drawing, for custom fantasy cartography. But I've been asked by a few people to kind of outline my world building process for the books that I'm working on and the campaign design that I'm doing for D&D and stuff like that. So I thought I would take this opportunity to maybe do that. I am working currently on a brand new chunk of my campaign, and need some time to kind of get that organized. So I figured this would be a great way to kill two birds with one stone. But we'll see how well this process goes, having to think and write at the same time. Again, I got to apologize for the camera. I am not sure what is going on with the reversal. It shows reversed for me when I look at it. I don't know if it's showing as reversed for you guys. But hopefully anything that I write is legible and we will go from there. So a little bit of a backstory of what's going on in my campaign. I have two players, Charles and Lisa. Charles is playing Arcus, who is a Monster Hunter Ranger or Gloomstalker Ranger. I can't remember right now. And he is currently level 8. And I have Lisa, who is playing Daria, who is a Sorceress Bard. She is also level 8. And they've been playing now in real time for about a year. And in the course of the game, they've covered about 3 months in game time. They are very dedicated players who really, really love the world building. So they're the kind of players that I make props for. I write the letters. If they find a journal, I generally write the journal entries so that they can read it. Stuff like that. And they really appreciate those efforts. Hey, John, how's it going? Good to see you. Thank you for coming to hang out. So in the course of this game, what's been going on is there's been a necromantic threat to the regions. There's been lots of wandering undead. Entire graveyards of people's loved ones have been getting raised. Stephanie, you figured out how to work the chat. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, there have been this necromantic threat that's been going on. They have found clues and bits and pieces as they've been proceeding that the originator of this threat is a woman named Amelie, who had lost her partner Bartholomew while they were experimenting, trying to achieve lichdom together so that they could be together forever. Typical kind of foiled romance story. They've been trying to find her. They've been trying to stop her. And little by little, there's been clues that she's maybe not the only issue. She's a necromancer, and she's certainly causing a lot of local problems. But there's a possibility that she's in alignment with a foreign empire named Caius, who are kind of bent on world domination. And so they are a martial empire. They are constantly trying to involve themselves in colonial enterprises to take resources and take magical resources specifically from other places. There's a whole bunch of world building as to why they're specifically going after resources and magical resources that I don't think I need to get into in order to just tell you guys what's going on with these characters, but it is all there. So recently they had an NPC that Arcus was very attached to go missing, and they found her again. And they rescued her, and it turned out that a chunk of her memories were missing. And so they had to go barter with a hag to get her memories back. And when they got the memories back, they had to basically reinstall them during a ritual. And so it turned out that when they reinstalled them during this ritual, what they'd actually done was kind of put the key in the lock to let Amelie take over this NPC Fabian's body. And so when Amelie did manifest in the moment of that ritual, she walked up to Arcus and said, hi. And Arcus was really excited because he thought he had his girlfriend back. And then she stabbed him in the gut, and combat ensued. So during the course of the combat, the turn order did not go in my favor. I had never intended for Amelie to die in that combat. She should have been able to leave and become like the reoccurring baddie that she had stay in that position that she had been for the last year. But unfortunately, the turn order worked against me, and Lisa played out some really beautiful quickened lightning bolts that took out more than a half of Emily's hit points in one round. And I lost my giant big baddie. And so I wasn't expecting that. And it kind of threw a giant wrench in the works for everything that I had planned for the campaign. Um, but those are the dice, and sometimes that's just how it goes. So when I realized that I was going to lose my big bad evil, I went, crap, what do I do? I don't have a place for this to go. And so I had it be that the body of Fabian had fallen to the ground and Emily had died in that body. And I was like, hey, well, what happens next? A obsidian black skeleton climbs out of the flesh suit that used to be Fabian / Emily, and it glows with unholy light, and it has gemstone green eyes, and it looks at Daria and says, I will remember you. And then it teleports away. I have no idea who this skeleton is, you guys. Like, not even a little. I looked up a quick name on my Gary Gygax's book of names while they were kind of in shock and reeling from what had happened, and decided on Aghaton because it just sounded appropriately fiendish to me. I don't know who he is. I don't know where he's from. I don't know what his powers are. I don't know the first thing about him, other than he exists and he's going to remember Daria. So when Patrick was suggesting some world building streams, I thought, yeah, sure, this would be a great time to kind of put that time that I need to spend anyways into use and maybe show people kind of what my process is like, if that's of interest to them. Like, I have no idea if that's interesting or not, but I guess we're here now, and I can see that there are 4 people watching, so presumably this is of interest to somebody. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have a fiendish or demonic skeleton who has a memory, and that's about it. So I was going to work today on trying to establish kind of what Aghaton's relationship is to Caius, and if he's like a sub-lieutenant, or if he's like the ultimate big bad who's going to be dispatching other lieutenants, or like how all of that is going to work. So I guess in terms of being a disclaimer, I don't have a plan for this session. I'm just going to be working through this on the fly and kind of just going for it. And if that's of interest to you, then super cool. And if it's not, I'm not going to be offended at all. If you have ideas for stuff that I'm talking about, feel free to chime in. I am completely open to hearing other stuff. Collaboration is one of the coolest aspects of world building. And inevitably, when you have more than one mind working on stuff, you get much more original stuff because you're outside of the block of your own limited worldview and experience. So yeah, if you've got ideas, hopefully this little preamble that I just gave you kind of gives you a bit of the context of what I'm working in. If there's other information that you want, just ask, and I will give you those updates as best I can. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I guess to start, like, I know that Aghaton is related to Caius. So Caius, like I was saying before, is an empire. I've kind of modeled it a little bit on Rome and a little bit on the expansionist protocols of Great Britain at the height of the colonial empire. They are a maritime empire. The whole setting is very maritime. There's lots of sailing, lots of ships. Adian, hey, how's it going? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Nice for you to actually come and chill out. Really excited that you could join us today. And Patrick is here too. Fabulous. John, yes, the skeleton did come out of Emily's body. She was inhabiting someone else's body at the time, but yes, the skeleton came out of that body. So the body is now deceased. They have taken parts of it to use to get into her evil necromancer lair that was locked with her blood, that kind of thing. But that now that body is done. So there will be no resurrection. They're taking steps to make sure that that can't happen. And those kinds of things. We are playing, in case this is also relevant, we're playing D&D 5e for our system and our module. I am a little bit looser with most rules if it serves the storyline. Mechanics are still basically the same, but like I'm willing to let my sorceress take spells off of other spell lists because I only have 2 players. So that kind of change has been made just for flavor. If that offends people, sorry, but not sorry. It's my game. I know what's working for my players. We've been playing for a year. So anyway, Caius, Maritime Province or Maritime Empire. So there's lots of sailing. There's lots of raiding and piracy. Lisa's character Daria comes from Rule of Cool forever, John. Totally forever. Charles calls us story whores because everything is always about the story. I kind of want that on a t-shirt because I think it's amazing. What was I saying? Lisa's character is part of a sailing empire of her own. She's set to inherit a fleet of ships as she comes of age. But she's a wild magic sorceress, so her magic has been slightly out of control. So she's been sent inland on a year's worth of journey to try and gain better control over her magic so that she's not putting her fleets at risk. So there's that kind of happening in the background too. Caius, the backstory there is that they're depleted of magic. The Emperor of Caius has lived for a couple hundred years at this point, and that's unusual because he's a human. He should not have had that kind of lifespan. But he made a pact, a warlock pact, many hundreds of years ago, that would give him long-lasting life in exchange for continual sacrifices of magic to this being. And I don't know if this being is Aghaton or if Aghaton is like a sub-lieutenant of the being. But like I'm trying to sort that out, I guess, as part of this stream. But Caius basically sacrificed a lot of their local magic. They don't produce a ton of mages. They just produce more than anything warlocks, who are drawing on the power of whatever giant being this is. So they're part of their expansionist and militaristic policies is that they're going out and seeking the resources that they no longer have domestically. Because they want to make sure that they're continuing to appease this source of power. And in exchange, this source of power is doing a lot to guarantee like naval victories at sea, and to a much more limited extent, like the profitability of outposts and trading things that they're doing to keep themselves like wealthy and expanding all the time. Potato Banana, hello, tuning in from Scotland. I wonder if this means that you are my Bianca, because maybe you are. GOO, Great Old One or Archfiend? I'm not sure, John. I literally haven't decided. I do know it's a warlock pact, but I beyond that like have not put any time into it because this guy didn't exist until 2 days ago. So really just kind of looking at this and figuring it out kind of as we talk. So if you've got recommendations, I want to hear it. Give me your thoughts because I'm totally here for all of this. But yeah, so this kind of, hey love, it's totally nice to see you. I'm glad that you got to tune in. That's exciting. Help me figure out what's going on with this magical green skeleton. Kind of early in Texas. It's fairly early here. It's 9:42 in the morning, but if you're an insomniac, I hope you got some kind of sleep tonight, Adian. Or last night, sorry. Yeah, a Great Old One I think could be really good for this kind of sea adventure for sure. I also happen to have giant miniature of Cthulhu, which could be really great for if we do any kind of tabletop combat after this bloody quarantine is over. But yeah, okay, so yeah, Great Old One could be a lot of fun. And then that gives me like the ability to maybe work with some madness principles. So let's say Warlock Bond. Because I was also favoring the idea of like an Archfiend. Just because I thought like we've been dealing a lot with devils or not devils, sorry, undead, like tons and tons of undead, and I kind of am ready for a different set of things that they can fight. So I was thinking like devils or demons could be a lot of fun in that regard too. Um, I'd have to look at what kind of minions a great old one has because I'm not super fluent on that. Minions question mark. And this one would be like devils or demons question mark. Because I want it to also be fun in terms of like what I'm running for things for them to come up against. I think this is the first time we've had 2 Texans in the chat though. That's super exciting, you guys. I think there's 3 Americans. Stephanie and I are Canadians. Bianca's Canadian, but she's, I was going to say in exile, but that's the wrong word. She's living elsewhere right now. But yeah, so, okay, we've got a warlock bond going on with the Emperor. And we also have the warlock bond going on with the land. So Caius as a whole produces warlocks rather than most mage types. Expat. There we go. Thank you, Patrick. That was the word I needed. So what this tells me about having warlocks that are maybe drawing on the same piece of power is that whoever this giant thing is, they're really powerful because they're able to fuel a lot of people drawing on them. So I think maybe what I want to do is have either Aghaton be the giant source or have him be like a sub-lieutenant. That is because maybe like there's the reveal of the big bad and then there's the reveal of the bigger bad, and like those kinds of things have worked well in franchises and fantasy books as tropes for a really long time. So maybe let's say Aghaton was a sub-lieutenant. How many steps away from the big bad is he? Like from our final source of power, because maybe that's useful for me to know. So at the top of this pyramid, we have the biggest of the bad evil guys. And then let's say maybe there's 4 levels. And let's say there's 3 in the second tier. Let's say there's 4 in the tier under that. Let's say there's 5 in the tier under that. And a half dozen in the bottom rung. So let's say Aghaton is this one. Now, I like the idea of there being a half dozen. I like the idea of that half dozen having like a specific name, like each of these tiers being known as something in particular. So I had come up with the name, seen it somewhere, so stealing it shamelessly, but the Bloodstone Cavalry. So maybe Aghaton is the leader of the Bloodstone Cavalry, and the other 5 are his sub-lieutenants, and then I can send them like one after another at them for different challenges. The Green Skelly, yes, the Green Skelly is Aghaton for sure. Maybe as a food source. That's a good call, John. I like that. Maybe what's going on with the sub-commanders is that they're in charge of gathering more energy to try and unleash this thing on the world, because there was not a prophecy, but a revelation through the Speak with Dead spell that what Aghaton wants is the consecration of a new world order. So maybe like the reason he's corrupting the Kayans is to create that, to like feed energy into something that's going to be like a dimensional portal rift or something like that down the line. Yeah, Yeah, sorry, Bianca. The ramble is kind of long to kind of do it all again. But yeah, there's a skeleton who's made of obsidian, who has glowing green eyes named Aghaton. And he basically showed up at the end of a thing where I wasn't expecting my big bad evil person to die. So he was the throwaway improvisation, and now he's going to be like a central focal point of my campaign. So it's kind of like, oh great, I got to figure this out. He doesn't know that he's the sacrifice. I don't know, maybe. He's not a human. Like, he's definitely some kind of fiendish, um, otherworldly being. The revelation happened in the dreamscape, so there's a possibility that he manifested like symbolically, and that's not his actual corporeal form. I haven't really played too much with that idea just because I didn't think it was relevant over the course of the last few days, but it's definitely something that I can look at. He can have a human form. He can probably insert himself into the party if he wants to. I just don't know anything about him to know if that's his style or if he's more hands off or like what his objectives are. So maybe let's play with objectives. What are Aghaton's objectives? So we've already said that he's trying to gather power. And I'm going to specify that this is magical power. I don't think he's particularly concerned with political power or financial power. For the top tier, big bad evil guy. Eventually, I'm going to need a name for that person. So the Bloodstone Cavalry has Aghaton, and it has 5 more names. So, Laura, hey love, how's it going? So we're trying to gather power for the top tier big bad evil guy. We're trying to, in the short term, make Caius successful. With their expansions, because that feeds in more power. And maybe like his goal is to advance himself in this phalanx of followers. Maybe he's really ambitious. Okay, so that's 3, and that works. Yeah, do what you need to do, Laura. It's all good. I know you're working. So that's 3 objectives, which I like 3. The rule of 3 works for me. It's enough to be interesting, not so much that you can't keep track of it. So maybe the Bloodstone Cavalry, each of the figures is working in a different geographical area, has a different specialization. I don't know. What about that? Because there's kind of like a Horseman of the Apocalypse vibe that you could deal with, but I don't know if like we want these to be that or if we want this to be that. Kind of as commanders. Because pestilence is an interesting oversight. There's an ecological thing going on in a different part of the world called the Scourge that is a hybrid race of something that's kind of like kobolds and kind of like wasps that live in a desert, and they're trying to expand their territory by creating desertification environmentally in other regions. And they're achieving this by like planting plants that are magical for them that help kind of stake out the boundaries. after they like scour an area clean and down to the dirt kind of thing. So, but I feel like that's a separate thread for me. Like I want that specifically to be environmental as opposed to like demonic or fiendish. So maybe I don't want to bring those in. Um, hmm. Okay, well, let's back up for a second and let's come up with names for these other tiers because maybe that's a lot more fun. So we've got the Bloodstone Cavalry. Actually, let's put the Bloodstone Cavalry up here because I already said this guy was made of obsidian. So let's call him the Obsidian Phalanx. Yes, I know he's not a phalanx with 5 under followers, but we'll just go with that. And let's keep this all themed on rocks, semi-precious gemstones. What are kind of ominous looking stones? Bloodstone, obsidian. Where is my rock book? Do I have a rock book in here? I thought I did. Give me 1 second. I need to go get my rock book. It's gonna wake up my dog though. Sorry about the noise. Hi, Moomba. Rock book. There we go. The Bloodstone Cavalry are the military leaders of the cavalry. Yeah, okay, I like that. I like that, I like that. Okay, Bloodstone Cavalry. So maybe that means all of the top generals of the Kayan military are actually warlock patrons of a minor level themselves. Other Athenian playwrights. I like that. Was Aghaton an Athenian playwright? I just pulled the name out of a hat. So like that would be news to me. I like Raymond. Raymond is really good. Okay, let's over here, other page. I think Achilles is really close to another name that I just had for something else. We need to think about another one there. Ooh, Malachite is good. Malachite what? Malachite. What do we have for units in a tactical arrangement? You'd think I'd know this being a military spouse, but I don't. I need a list. Malachite. Malachite maledict. That's a little too alliterative and possibly on the nose, but interesting. I like maledict as an end. So let's maybe just put that up there and we'll combine it with something else. Malachite footman. I like that. All right, and then we need one more rock. Let's see here. Argonite. Agate, amber, amazonite, ametrine, amethyst, apatite, aquamarine. Argonite is fun. Celestite, carnelian. Carnelian might be interesting. Bloodstone I like. Cinnabar, also known as dragon's blood. That could be fun. Charoite. Charoite is kind of interesting because of the link with Greek mythology and the crossing of the river Styx. So that might be interesting. Amazonite. Ooh, I like coils, Bianca. Echelon is good too. Okay, I gotta make some notes here. Coils, echelon, skirmishers, Vanguard. Yeah, Vanguard is good too. I like that. Finger four, I don't know. Charoite Vanguard. What do we think of that? I kind of like that. That's kind of fun. What about Malachite Echelon or Malachite Coils? Malachite Skirmishers. What about Malachite Vanguard and Charoite Echelon? I think I like that better. See, I'm making a mess of all my notes here. Malachite Vanguard, Charoite Echelon. Okay. I think we've got that. That works for me for now. Perfect. All right, let's finish naming our dudes here. So we've got Aghaton, he's our leader. And then we have Raymond. You were going Greek with that, right, Bianca? That was what we were thinking. Oh, Zoisite. Good call, Stephanie. Zoisite. Make that a note. Let me pull up my list of names here. So I have a PDF of a book called Gary Gygax's Book of Names. And it doesn't tell you what the names mean, which would make this book a million times longer. But it is just lists and lists and lists of names and how to properly use them if you're using them in a role-playing context. And it goes everything from like Papua New Guinean to Amerindian to medieval English to how to write proper English aristocratic names if that's a thing that you're focused on. It is one of the most useful resources I have ever found for just when you need a name. You're like, I don't know how to deal with this. Let me just see if I can adjust my camera so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So up at the screen, this way over here. So yeah, so this is just the PDF as I have it. And so it's just lists and lists and lists of names. And so this is the ancient Greek section that I'm working with right now because we were looking at that. So let's just have a boo here. So I can already see Castor I really like, just the sound of. I think that sounds really good. So let's choose that for one of them, Castor. And we need 3 more. Cakes is interesting, but that gives us 2 K names. Yeah, this is a really great resource, Bianca. Like, I love it a lot. It's just so useful. And like, it's so great because it gets me out of like the linguistic setups that I used to think of as conventional. Like, it puts together consonants and vowel combinations that I wouldn't think of because I'm a native English speaker. And that's really, really fun for me. I like kicks. Let's just go with that for now. Lachitis. Lachitis is kind of fun. We need one more. Phiox? No, that's not quite right. Locutus of Borg. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Solon. How about Solon? Sidious. Oh, I like Sidious. Sounds like Darth Sidious a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Okay, so we have some names. Pull this back down to the book. Hey, just as a fun fact for me, are you guys reading everything like facing the right way, or is everything backwards for you? Because I cannot tell. It's showing as backwards for me when I look up at my screen, but I can't tell if it's flipped for you guys or if everything is backwards. So curious about that. Somebody tune in and let me know. All right, so we have Raymond, Castor, Caix, Lachitis, and Solon. It's the right way around. Perfect. That's so exciting. Yay. Part of my anxiety just immediately goes away. Love it when that happens. Okay, so let's say that all 5 of these dudes have human manifestations. They are currently generals in the Kayan army. They work with military action, not colonial action, unless it's the subjugation. So Aghaton has the black skeleton. Maybe he's too powerful to maintain a human outward appearance. I kind of like the idea of him having a fallback where he's just obvious for what he is. Too powerful. Hide as human. And then that keeps a little bit of the ranking difference between the Bloodstone Cavalry and him. All right. So Let's have a look at the monster manual a little bit here to see what could possibly be interesting for what these guys are. Actually, let's do something a little bit more basic first. Let's assign genders to the Bloodstone Cavalry, because that might inform a couple character decisions. Aghaton is a dude. I have already decided that because my last major villain was female, and I like to be able to break it up. I think Kx is a woman. I think Solon is non-binary. And I think Raymond is a guy, Castor is a guy, and Lachitis also a guy. Okay, that's helpful. So do I need to know creature type right now? Not really. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at Devils and Fiends. Ooh, Patrick, I like that. I like that, I like that, I like that. Let's make a note about that. That's good. His manifestations. As human. Devour his human form, causing him to remanifest. I like that, because that shows a sacrifice for power. It's almost literally the pound of flesh thing, that the more often he uses his abilities, the more he's having to sacrifice in order to have them. I really dig that. That is so fun. Literal pound of flesh sacrifice. So what that tells me about him is that Aghaton was human. When he made this pact with the big bad evil guy. So he's in transition. He's transitioning to being something other than human. And that kind of dovetails nicely with the story elements from Amelie, where she was attempting to become a lich. So it's kind of an echo of that in a way that I think is kind of graceful, maybe. Okay, let's have a look at the differences between Devils and Fiends and see if I can... I think there's a better resource book on this. I think I might have it. But let's just have a look here. Demons. Okay. So demons are from the abyss, and they are the embodiment of chaos and evil. Okay. Does that mean fiends are more lawful? Because I feel like that's a thing. That's D's, E's, flumps. Hijkl, fiend. Should be back here. Strow. Nope. Do we not just have them as a category in here? Hello index. Nope, no listing for fiend as a creature type. All right, well, let's have a look at demons anyway. Demons respect power and power alone. A greater demon commands shrieking mobs of lesser demons because it can destroy any lesser demon that dares to refuse its commands. I don't really picture this as being that. But a demon's status grows with the blood it spills. The more enemies that fall before it, the greater it becomes. That is interesting with this military overtone that we're looking at. So let's make a note of that. I kind of like that. Lawful evil versus chaotic evil. And I'm kind of seeing it as like a lawful evil situation because what they want is like a new world order. So that tells me that there's some kind of lawfulness about it. But let's mine this little bit here and see what we come up with. Monster Manual, page 51. Always cite your sources, friends. Always cite your sources. Demons are loners and devils are long thinking. Yeah, that's kind of my impression of things too. There is a different source book that talks about the demon war. Is it Volo's or Mordenkainen's? I do not remember. We'll look at that as soon as we're done kind of going through this. Most demons are destroyed before they gain significant power. The greatest of those that do survive make up the ranks of demon lords that threaten to tear the abyss apart with their endless warring. And see, I see them as more organized than that. No. Wherever they wander across the abyss, demons search for portals to the other planes. They crave the chance to slip free of their native realm and spread their dark influence across the multiverse, undoing the works of gods, tearing down civilizations, and reducing the cosmos to despair and ruin. Like, that's really interesting, but again, seems pretty chaotic. Yeah, I don't dig that. Okay, but this is kind of interesting. A powerful demon can take steps to safeguard its life essence using secret methods and abyssal metals to create an amulet into which part of the essence is seated. If the demon's abyssal form is ever destroyed, the amulet allows the fiend to reform at a time and place of its choosing. Again, that kind of echoes the Lich thing that was going on with Amelie. But it would be a great subquest hook to go find it and then destroy it. So let's write that down. Maybe that is useful. I'll look up devils in just a second. I just want to kind of mine what this demon thing is for anything that I think is interesting first, and then we'll look up devils. Amulet, Horcrux, Monster Manual, 51, subquest idea, question mark. Demonic cults. I mean, yeah. But no. Demon summoning. Fair. Book of Vile Darkness. No. Okay. And then we get into types of demons. So let's go find devils. Devils, here we go. Let's have a look at this. Thank you for reminding me that devils and fiends are the same thing, because I was struggling with the index. Devils personify tyranny with a totalitarian society dedicated to the domination of mortal life. The shadow of the nine hells of Baator extends far across the multiverse, and Asmodeus, the Dark Lord of Nessius, strives to subjugate the cosmos to satisfy his thirst for power. To do so, he must continually expand his infernal armies, sending his servants to the mortal realms to corrupt the souls from which new devils respond. See, this is sounding more like what I want. Okay, cool. Devils live to conquer, enslave, and oppress. They take perverse delight in exercising authority over the weak, and any creature that defies the authority of a devil faces swift and cruel punishment. Every interaction is an opportunity for a devil to display its power, and all devils have a keen understanding of how to use and abuse their power. Devils understand the failings that plague intelligent mortals. Ta-da! And they use that knowledge to lead mortals into temptation and darkness, turning creatures into slaves of their own corruption. Devils on the material plane use their influence to manipulate humanoid rulers, whispering evil thoughts, fomenting paranoia, and eventually driving them to tyrannical actions. Yes. Perfect. This is what we're after. Oh my goodness, a live stream on a Friday. Hi, Brian. How you doing? No, it's not Christmas, but we're doing something a little bit different today. I got myself into a bit of a pickle with my gaming session on Saturday and ended up killing off my big bad evil guy way in advance of when that was supposed to happen. So I impromptu generated a new one and know nothing about him. So today we are working on a world building stream to help me figure out what on earth is going on with this guy, who he is, what he's about, where he comes from, all of that stuff. So we have decided that he's a devil. We should make a big note of that. Devil. Not demon. Lawful evil. Even though I think alignment is generally a useless construct in Dungeons and Dragons, I like it as kind of a philosophical access point, as opposed to you can't hang out with a chaotic evil character if you're a paladin, because I think that's really lame. Devil's true names and talismans. True names is interesting. I like true name stuff. True name. Subquest. Idea. I do a lot of work with language in my game because I'm a word nerd and it's a thing that I do. So true names is kind of fun. Apt names are also really interesting to me. Hey Laura, how's it going? Welcome back. I can't believe we've been at this for almost an hour already, friends. How's it going? Okay, so we know he's the devil and not a demon. We know he's lawful evil. We know the status thing is a big game for them. So maybe there's some competition between Aghaton and the other 5. Maybe the other 5 are also looking to outseat Aghaton. I like there to be a lot of like things going on in the background with my villains too that can like check their progress or make them so that they're just more complex, because then you're not just creating a static threat. The threat is evolving and changing. It means more things to keep track of for me, but I think it makes it more realistic in terms of having characters interacting with a dynamic world. So I don't mind having that kind of detail, that there's some jockeying for position going on among the Bloodstone Cavalry. to try and replace Aghaton, because it also means that Aghaton is going to have to worry about being unseated or set back by his own people. And that sounds very much like in keeping with the devil stuff that we were just reading about here. So, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the infernal hierarchy. Maybe this is what we needed in order to figure out who's what. So there are archdevils that include all of the current and deposed rulers of the 9 hells, as well as the dukes and duchesses that make up their courts, attend them as advisors, and hope to supplant them. Every archdevil is unique, being with an appearance that reflects its particular evil nature. Then there's greater devils, include pit fiends, Aryans, horn devils, and ice devils that command lesser devils and attend the archdevils. Lesser devils include numerous strains of fiends, including imps, chain devils, spine devils, bearded devils, barb devils, and bone devils. And Lemirs are the lowest form of devil. They're twisted and tormented souls of evil and corrupted mortals. A Lemir killed in the 9 hells is only permanently destroyed if it is killed with a blessed weapon or if its shapeless corpse is splashed with holy water before it can return to life. Okay, so that's really cool because we've been dealing with blessed weapons and holy water in terms of the undead threat that's been going on for the last year in the campaign. So it's kind of nice that that kind of dovetails over. Let's make a note about that. Okay. All right. Feeling good about this so far, you guys. Okay, so let us decide that the big bad evil guy of this, how many levels do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say that our big bad is an archdevil. And let's say the next level are all archdevils too. And they're in hardcore competition with each other. Let's say this level is greater devils. And let's say that this level is also greater devils. And then let's say Aghaton's, I'm going to say that Aghaton is also a greater devil because he's powerful enough to be forming pacts with people. And we'll just kind of blend that warlock thing into that in a way that I like. It means the people that he's warlocking with aren't super, super powerful, but that is okay. I am fine with that. All right. So, Aghaton, what's your deal? You want to gather power for the top tier big bad evil guy. You want to make Kaya successful with their expansions and resource gathering, because again, more power for the big bad evil guy. And you're ambitious. You want to advance yourself in the big bad evil guy's ranks. So, we know that. Aghaton was a human. He's transitioning to something other than human. Literal pound of flesh sacrifice, which we like. Let's look at Warlock for a second. Let's see if that's got anything it can add to this conversation. Guys, tell me if I'm getting boring. I am relying on you to do that. Like I said, I didn't really have a plan for how to go about this. We're just making it up as we fly. Just listening and learning. Okay. Thanks, Bianca. So warlocks are driven by an insatiable need for knowledge and power, which compels them into their packs and shapes their lives. This thirst drive of warlocks into their packs and shapes their later careers as well. Stories of warlocks binding themselves to fiends are widely known, but many warlocks serve patrons that are not fiendish. Sometimes a traveler in the wilds comes to a strangely beautiful tower, meets its fey lord or lady, and stumbles into a pact without being fully aware of it. And sometimes, while poring over tomes of forbidden lore, a brilliant but crazed student's mind is open to realities beyond the material world and alien beings that dwell in the outer void. Oh, hi, Cthulhu. How you doing? So Aghaton is not a warlock in himself. Aghaton is definitely a devil. He, however, I'm not going to say he generates warlocks. He's a general. You have made a pact with a fiend from the lower planes of existence, a being whose aims are evil even if you strive against those aims. Such beings desire the corruption or destruction of all things, ultimately including you. Such fiends powerful enough to forge a pact include demon lords such as Demigorgon, Orcus, Fraz-Urblu, not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Baphomet, archdevils such as Asmodeus, Dispater, Mephistopheles, and Belial, pit fiends and balers that are especially mighty, and Urloths or other lords of the Yugoloths. Okay, cool. So let's say that only the archdevil tiers of our thing can generate warlocks. So, Hey Marla, how's it going? That's okay. We're all wondering the same thing because we are also here catching the stream 2 days in a row. Okay, so Aghaton is not in himself a warlock patron. I think we have decided this. But the thing is, he kind of was for Emily. So hang on, I gotta retcon myself here. Maybe his ability to be a patron is related to his manifestations of his humanity disappearing. So he was only able to take on a single follower at the time. Warm, fuzzy socks and reading a new book. Awesome. Thinking about what I should cook today. Perfect. If you'd like to drop off some of whatever you make to me, I would be eternally grateful. What if Aghaton was a warlock with a powerful devil patron? Now he seeks to promote the former patron once again to become his own boss. Yeah, okay. That works for me. That works for me. So Aghaton was a warlock. Himself. Who was his pact with? We need another name. Made a pact with... All right, book. Come back. Tell me a name. We want another Greek name, or do we want a different kind of name? Let's go look at the table of contents. Table of contents. God, I love tables of contents, you guys. They are so great. What do we have? I'm going to avoid Gaelic and Welsh. I've used those a lot in the early parts of this campaign. I'm going to avoid Ancient Egyptian because it just doesn't have the sound that I want right now. Aztec, Inca, Mayan, Chinese, Indian, Japanese, medieval Japanese, Korean, Mongol, Tibetan. Let's have a look at Tibetan. That sounds like it could be interesting. Oh my God, 20-hour round trip. Marla, where are you? Yes, you know me through Kim. I'm in Wainwright, so I'm 2 hours east of Edmonton currently. The second in command of the pyramid. Okay, perfect. I like that. So We will say it's this guy. We just need a name now. What was I doing? I was doing Tibetan. Okay, page 80. Let's go have a look at this. Tibetan. What do we got? No, this isn't giving me the vibe I want. Table of contents. What about medieval Polish? What do we think about that? What do you got, medieval Polish? You got a lot of W's and a lot of J's. Family names. All right, here we go. Personal names. That's what we want. Cyprian. What do we think of Cyprian? Kind of like that. Ignacy. Kazimierz. It's a lot of K names, though. A name that has no vowels. I think maybe you're onto something here. For the archdevils, because that's almost Hebrew, like the sacred language for dealing with like the name of God for Judaism, right? We retcon it as Yahweh because we insert the vowels there, but it's never written with the vowels because that would be offensive. To do that properly, because you need to be more respectful with the name of God than that. So that's really interesting. That I like that. Okay, so true name. Names as given are written without vowels for pacts and addresses. True names have, ooh, can't write, come on, vowels, i.e. Hebrew name of Yahweh. Okay. Okay, so let's say this dude. Second in command is Cyprian. All right. Yeah, Cyprian. I like that. Okay, so Aghaton was a warlock, made a pact with Cyprian. Okay. Cool. These notes are so chaotic. Oh my goodness. All right. So Aghaton is what percentage human still, you guys? Is he still a percentage human? Is he completely traded over at this point? I think he's still a percentage human. Because then that gives him a power growing arc as well. So let's say he's still 50% human. He's just tipping over to having more devil than human in him. He's 45% human. Okay, I like that. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to smack the thing. 45% human. Okay, so let's assume that when he manifested as an obsidian skeleton with glowing green eyes, that was how he manifests 55% of the time. What does his 45% manifestation look like? I'm going to say he still has glowing green eyes all the time. And that's a mark of his fiendish pact. Um, 350 degrees of devil. So he has glowing green eyes all the time. That's a mark of his fiendish pact. I'm going to say he's gaunt, like thin to the point of gauntness. Because of that literal pound of flesh. Sacrifice. I'm going to say he's also a glutton. Because on some level, he's trying to preserve the humanity. Although I don't know right now why he would want to do that. Eating fuels, keeping the flesh to generate power. So I'm going to say, like, yeah, he's a glutton. He's ravenous. But he's barely sustaining his form. Yeah, his body is totally eating itself. Absolutely. Maybe like the 45% of him that's still human is kind of freaked out by the processes, like eager for it, but still kind of afraid of it. Because I think that would be a pretty natural response when you're encountering like otherworldly power. And it's pretty obvious that like having a devil for a patron can be difficult. So maybe like there's still that little bit of human residual in him that is like eager for it, but still kind of afraid of the process. You took back a message, Patrick? Yeah, Marla, I think that's really, really where I'm kind of at with that. I think you're absolutely right. The more demon he is, the faster his body eats itself. Let's do. Okay, I like that, Stephanie. Let's do that. Maybe not muscle. Maybe it's just that obsidian bone. Because that's kind of the defining feature of what he looked like in the dreamscape. Okay. Obsidian bone. Okay, let's say he is average height, because why not? Let's put that at like, I don't know, 5'10", which is maybe short for a guy, but whatever, we'll go with it. Um, he probably like looks a little bit more tall because he's so gaunt, that stretched chewing gum experience. He's really gaunt, glowing green eyes all the time. Gonna say he has like a vaguely reddish tint to his skin as a mark of like the deviltry as well. And that the more the devil takes ascendancy, the redder his skin gets. Patches of hair falling out if he has any. Oh, that's interesting, Patrick. Okay. Okay, I like that even better. Let's do that. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Let's see. What else have we got here? What are his relationships like with the rest of the Bloodstone Cavalry? Because this will tell us about the cavalry too. So let's talk a little bit about Raymond. The only thing we know about Raymond right now is Raymond is a guy. You do not resemble that remark, Patrick. Yours isn't falling out. It's just not growing back. Raymond is a guy. Give me a personality trait about Raymond. Just throw one out there. Let's see what we do with this. I wonder if Raymond is impulsive, but lucky. He's one of the Bloodstone Cavalry, Patrick. He's one of these 5. We've got Raymond, Castor, KX, Lucidus, and Solon. Raymond is the first one. He's full of himself, Gaston style? Okay, we'll do that. And in keeping with the Gaston thing, we'll say he's a very successful hunter slash tactician. Okay. So I think Aghaton appreciates Raymond's competence, but doesn't like his arrogance. But they work well together. And they often side together during arguments. Have fun, Marla. He, like other cavalry leaders, despised Aghaton for Aghaton's ambition, since advancement of the fiendish ranks is slow and methodical. Yes, okay, I like that. Raymond despises Aghaton for Aghaton's ambition because advancement through the ranks is slow and methodical. No one kills like Ramon has the skills like Ramon. Oh, Bink, I love you. I'm writing that down. He uses femurs in all of his decorating. All right. So that's the nutshell for Raymond. Number 2 is Castor. Again, Castor is a guy. Give me a personality trait about Castor. Yeah, he's a cavalry guy. He's the second one. He's a pleaser. but shy and kind of the quiet and deadly type. Okay, we'll go with that. Um, Aghaton likes being able to delegate to Castor because he knows the job is going to get done. But maybe Castor doesn't have a lot of his own ambition. Um, he likes where he is. A yes man who always agrees right up to the point that he can turn around and stab you in the back. Maybe that's the next guy. Who's the next guy? The next guy is KX, which is the only girl in our group of things. So let's say that about KX. I like that. She's duplicitous. Let's just do this last little bit of how Aghaton, or how Castor sees Aghaton, and then we'll move on to KX. Castor is kind of Castor approves of Aghaton's leadership. Finds him to be competent. And another word. Competent and charismatic. Okay. All right. Let us go on to KX. KX is a female, and we agreed that she is a yes woman who always agrees right up to the point she can stab you in the back. Okay, so we got to ask ourselves the obvious question here. Is this contributing to the trope of women as duplicitous and murderous people? Because that trope gets played really, really heavy in fantasy. And I don't know if I want to be reinscribing that necessarily. At the same time, I feel like the stab you in the back trope is a pretty big deal among evil people in general. So, do we have an obligation to not make this the woman because we don't want to reinforce that trope? I'm not sure. She sees the weakness in his human side and his occasional bouts of fear of his transformation, and maybe is a bit resentful of his leadership, but not to his face. Okay. I like that. Okay. Maybe she is against his leadership because she still sees the fear and she doesn't feel the fear. Okay. Okay. She sees the lingering weakness in his human side. Fear of his transformation. And how did I phrase it, you guys? Has contempt for it? Thinks his leadership is affected by it and isn't as bold or decisive as it could be. Okay. Resentful of his leadership, but not to his face. Okay, I like that. That nuances things a little bit more. That gives us something that's not just so stereotypically woman stab you in the back-ish. I like that. That gives her a really clear motivation too. What does Aghaton think of KX? Aghaton sees KX as audacious. She takes big risks. And they usually pay off. Oh, like a little sister. Oh, I like that too. I like that. As an audacious little sister. She takes big risks and they usually pay off. He's proud of her, but also a little exasperated by her tendency to go off script. What do we think of that? I like that. You have won the internets. Good job, Trick. All right. Okay, so that's KX. Who do we have now? We have Lechitis. Lechitis. Did I spell that correctly? Nope, I did not. There is no A there. All right, Lechitis is a dude. Lechitis is the rules lawyer. He is the guy that has everything down to the most microscopic deliverable. So where KX is the one going off script, Lakitis is the one that's like, actually, you missed protocol 3.459. Yeah. I like that. Okay. So he gets up on Aghaton's grill. When Aghaton doesn't quite conform to the orders coming down from above. Or at least his interpretation of those orders. A man for the team. Yep. I picture him a little bit like Radar from MASH. Or maybe that's more, maybe that's Castor. No, Castor's quiet and deadly. I just kinda want somebody who's like, oh, very literal. Yeah, very literal. It said we were supposed to flay them alive. That wasn't a metaphor. Goofy and lovable. I honestly, I'm seeing him as Radar from MASH. I kinda love, honestly, like, it's a little bit of comedic relief in amongst a team of, like, really otherwise very serious personalities. But I think, like, he doesn't come across as, like, the younger brother trope. He just comes across as, like, the class clown a little bit. More like Data. Oh. Okay, let's think about that for a second. More like Data. Okay, yeah, I think actually that plays better. I think that does. Let's go with that. Okay. How does Aghaton see Lakitis? Um, Reliable but annoying. Yeah. He likes to give him the hard jobs just to get him out of the way. What he doesn't realize is that this is making Lakitis super competent. Okay. Okay. How does Lachidas see Aghaton? Hmm. Lachidas sees Aghaton as too ambitious for his own good. What if he also sees him as having aspirations higher than his skill set? Okay, I like that. Good. And then our last person is Solon. Solon is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns. Okay, I like that. Okay, so Solon is the old warrior archetype. Has no ambition to advance. Wants to ensure the cavalry remains after its ambitious leaders move on. Nice. I really like that. Okay. How does Aghaton see Solon? As an artifact of the times, or an anchor, kind of dragging them down, and kind of the cost of doing business, lacking ambition. Okay, lacking ambition. An artifact of the times with occasional points of wisdom. Solon sees Aghaton as having potential, but wanting to advance too quickly. Like, Solon thinks you need to spend more time in the ranks to properly understand the job before you can advance. Through one good eye. That's kind of Odin-ish too, which I kinda like. Um, Aghaton as having potential, but needing to spend more time in the ranks before advancing. To gain the skills that make success possible. Has only one good eye. Okay. I think that gives us the Bloodstone Cavalry, which is great. And that takes us to an hour and 3/4, guys. Skills and wisdom. Yeah, good point. Wisdom. Oh boy. Well, this has been super productive. Thanks, friends. This seems like a kind of natural point to wrap it up. So that I can go and get some more coffee and go to the washroom and do all of that jazz. Oh, thank you for coming and doing it. I'm going to start, I think, doing this as much as I can regularly on Fridays. I do a lot of world building on my own, but this was really fun. Like, this was just so great to have this collaborative process. And I'm glad that you guys seem to like it. Like, that was really cool for me. So thank you. It was really great. So yeah, I will leave this up here and put up a giant note that Charles and Lisa are not allowed to watch it. Otherwise, it will give the game away, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, this was really good. And yeah, anything, if you've got a game that you're running and you want to use any of it in a town, like, that is not a problem at all. I guess I should have like prefaced that a long time ago, but we're here now. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap things up. Enjoy a beverage of your choice, and we will do this again next week. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. Catch you later.